All right, I've got a lot to cover today, so let's get going. I was talking to my pastor on Wednesday, and he said that he doesn't think I should go to Canada, and that he thinks that I should put my Bible college degree to good use and stay in Florida. And he wants me to basically clean up my life and go into ministry, and he's going to give me some responsibilities at the church. I don't know. I really have my heart set on Canada right now. I understand my need to get my life straight, and I really sympathize with that idea. And I still have a passion for ministry, and I still want to kind of do and I still feel a calling on my life, to go into ministry. But I have really kind of focused my way towards getting myself to Canada. So we'll see how that works out. Um, right now, I'm going to submit all my paperwork to Canada. I'm going to still try to get there, but at the same time, I'm going to keep my doors open. Next, new season Dog the Bounty Hunter started. It's on Wednesdays at 9 on A&E. I can't believe it's still on, but it's still entertaining. Tonight, new season of Kitchen Nightmares starts, the U.S. version. I haven't seen a new UK Kitchen Nightmares in God knows how long. But I'm excited about that. I love anything with Gordon Ramsay in it. Next, we got to get into MMA. Forrest Griffin said about his fight with Rich Franklin, "I like his wrestling. When Henderson and Okami tried to do that to Rich, he was actually pretty good. Maybe if I can't hang with him on the feet, I'll push him into the cage and rough him up, grind on him, land some knees. I'm bigger than both of those guys, but I'm not better than them. He's a little quicker than me, and it'll make a difference. Fortunately, I have little reach on him, and I'm bigger than him. I don't have a problem with guys who are quicker than me or longer than me, but if they're both quicker and longer than me, I'll tend to have trouble. I've got news for you, Forrest. He's quicker than you, he's more accurate than you, and he's going to fight an intelligent fight. And I love both of these guys, but Rich Franklin's going to take this. Rich Franklin is a beast of a man. Rich Franklin will always be my favorite fighter, so I am very biased. But Rich Franklin's going to win this fight coming up on February 5th. Next, my predictions for the fight for the troops that are going off tomorrow. I'm going to start at the bottom of the card and work my way up. Inconsistent 8-3, Will Campazano fights newcomer Chris Cariaso. I would originally pick this for Will Campazano because new guys generally have big problems coming into the UFC with the big crowds and the UFC jitters. This is not a traditional UFC crowd. This is going to be a crowd of, I'm suspecting, 300 people maybe. It'll be an interesting event. Actually, it'll probably be more than 300. It'll probably be around 1,000. But regardless, it's nothing. It's nothing compared to what you experience in a live UFC event. I'm picking this for Chris Cariaso, who's 10-2 coming into the UFC. Next, the unimpressive Ronnie Yaya is fighting Mike Thomas Brown. Mike Brown has been having a very inconsistent fight game lately as far as wins and losses are concerned. He's been rather consistent as far as his fighting style is concerned. He just dropped a fight to Diego Nunes via split decision, and it was controversial. That if you ask most people that have seen the fight, they will say that Mike Brown won the fight. I'm picking this for Mike Brown. I think this is a gimme, and I think Ronnie Yaya is possibly writing his ticket out of the UFC. Almacar Alves is fighting Charlie Brenneman in the next fight. Almacar Alves is 11-2. He's got one fight in the UFC, and it's a loss to Mike Pierce. Mike Pierce, as far as I'm concerned, is a top 10 welterweight. He's not respected and recognized that way just because he hasn't caught the names yet. Give him time. This year or next, most likely this year, Mike Pierce will be recognized for the quality fighter that he is. Next, so I have Almacar Alves taking that from Charlie Brenneman. Next, we have Waylon Lowe, who's very inconsistent in the UFC, against William Ferrieri. I'm giving this to William E. Ferrieri, whatever. I forget why. I did my research. That's who I've got it going to. Next, we have Eve Edwards versus Cody McKenzie. Cody McKenzie is undefeated at 12-0. Eve Edwards is something like 36, 13, and 3. I'm giving this to Eve Edwards, and this is one of the hardest fights on the card to call. It's hard to pick against a guy that's 12-0. I'm just saying that Cody McKenzie hasn't fought the caliber of fighters that he will find in Eve Edwards, unless you count his fight with Nam Phan. This is a tough one. I won't be surprised if Eve Edwards gets caught in a guillotine. So I'm calling it for Eve, but I'm calling it with hesitation. Next, we've got two inconsistent fighters with DeMarquez Johnson and Mike Guyman. DeMarquez Johnson drops the fights when it counts, and he drops to better fighters. I'm thinking that Mike Guyman is a better fighter in this one. Grandpa Guyman, as I like to call him, I have winning this fight. Mike Guyman is like 36, and I think he's somewhere around 12-4, but he's got the skills that it takes to hang around in the UFC. Will he ever be a UFC on a UFC, up there in the welterweight division, I believe it is? No, I don't think so. But he's good enough right now. I don't think he'll hang around the UFC very long. But look, I give respect to him while he's there. Next, we have Cole Miller versus Matt Wyman. To me, this is a supremely unfair fight. I think Cole Miller takes this fight easily. It's going to be a rough 'em up fight, obviously. Matt Wyman doesn't doesn't go into a fight and just and lay down for anybody. But for Cole Miller, this is going to be rather routine. I think Cole Miller wins this via submission, probably round 2, and then I figure he will go on to fight Cowboy Cerrone sometime in the near future after Cowboy Cerrone gets done with his next fight, win or lose. I think these guys are going to end up in the cage together in their next fight. There's money to be made. There's heat between these guys, and there will be mad smack talk when they come meet each other. Next, we have Pat H.D. Barry versus Joey Beltran. I hate going against Joey Beltran, and even as I'm sitting here, seeing that I have picked Pat Barry, I almost want to pick Joey Beltran. The Mexicutioner is just very, very underrated. This could go either way. I really like Joey Beltran. I really think he knows what he's doing with his training. I've got to go with. I'm going with Pat Barry, and I just give him a hair of an advantage. I think he learned from it. He learned from his fight with Crow Cop. He has some experience that Joey Beltran doesn't have, even though Joey Beltran does have more fights. It's going to be a tough one, that one. The next fight, we have what I think is a pretty easy to pick fight. You got Mark Hominick versus George Roop. It's been announced that Mark Hominick will get a shot at Jose Aldo if he wins this fight. But we also have Jose Aldo fighting at 129. So I don't know what the deal is with that. But we're just focused on this fight right now. Mark Hominick is George Roop's coach. They're teammates. And Mark Hominick is a superior fighter to George Roop. Mark Hominick takes this all the way. It's not going to be easy. He could get caught by George Roop, but he knows his tricks. He's looked through his bag, and he's essentially given George Roop all the tools that he has. This is almost unfair to George Roop, but this will be an entertaining fight regardless. I've got Matt Hominick winning this. Tim Hague versus Matt Mitrione is the next fight that we're analyzing. Tim Hague drops every important fight that he fights. I give him respect, not in the UFC. The guy just he came into the UFC. I believe his first fight in the UFC, he had a perfect record and he dropped it. Could be wrong. This is gonna be an entertaining fight. Matt Mitrione's still like 3-0, but he's still give him a lot of respect. Meathead does his job. He's gonna come in there. He's gonna put the hurt on Tim Hague. Tim Hague doesn't like it when bigger guys overwhelm him, and he's gonna get overwhelmed. Matt Mitrione is a beast, and he will swarm him. That's how that fight goes down. This fight with Melvin Goliath versus Evan Dunham, I don't want to say it's a joke because I don't want to disrespect Melvin Gillard in the sport. He's a landmark athlete, and he's been doing this for a long, long time. As far as I'm concerned, and as far as many people are concerned, Evan Dunham is 13-0. We got I've got him taking this fight. It'll probably be by unanimous decision. I don't see Melvin Gillard getting taken out, but I do see Evan Dunham losing this. There could be a surprise upset here, but it's not likely. If it did happen, it would be very akin to Joe Stevenson versus Mac Danzig. I think that's the way it would surprise me on that level. But we'll see. I got Evan Dunham winning that. Those are my picks. I will give you my post-fight analysis tomorrow after the fights,